For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Greetings and welcome to episode 67. Oh, you are going to be so much trouble today.
I am, aren't I?
You are. Take you out, get you drunk, fuck the hell out of you last night.
Oh,
This
God.
morning you're just nothing but trouble.
What a day yesterday. I mean, we started off with just simple going to the art center to shop and find some beautiful gifts to give people that are made by some
Local artists.
Very
cool
local
stuff,
artsy
very reasonable
people.
prices on cool stuff made by local artists. So
Right,
that was,
so-
I'm glad you suggested that because I had a lot of fun there.
Yeah,
Wish I
did
would have
too.
had more income, more money to leave behind because there was a lot of cool stuff. You know, I mean, there was a lot of little stuff that was like, $10 to $20, which is cool, but none of it really fit.
You really go for
decor
the
around
$575 pieces.
Well, yeah, it was really cool hand-carved wooden art. It was so yeah, of course, everything I really want is like $200 and up, which is not out of the question, but that's not in the budget right now.
And of course-
I'm a little tied up in Christmas crap.
And of course, you always find these sexual designs in the
I
artwork.
can't help that sculpture looked like a pussy.
It did. The vagina lips there, the pussy lips, okay? It was right there.
Well, and the other one by the same artist looked like a big old nipple.
We got to go back and look at that one because I didn't see the nipple, but I wasn't really looking for the
It was
nipple.
totally a big old nipple right in the middle of the thing.
I think the artist knew what they were doing. That's all I got to say. But
Yeah, so I think I should also share with the audience that I have now broken this woman to the point that I cannot even give her a fucking foot rub and keep her conscious.
oh my God, it is like so awesome. I don't know what it is with me and my body that, I come so easily. And I feel bad because I was reading an article that someone had shared about a woman that's having a hard time, having orgasms. And I feel bad. I want to go, here, take some because it's like, and now you like,
Well, giving another woman orgasms is usually more complex than that. It requires participation.
I know. I know. I'm just saying, I feel bad that I'm like such a lucky woman. I am so lucky. I really am. And
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword, though, because, I mean, like you pass out so quickly
I know.
because you're coming so hard.
I know. It's great. But look I'm always in a good mood. Yeah. Go ahead. I don't care. Ring that baby.
Shara's first uncontrollable blush of the episode.
Because I'm happy. I am so happy today. Yesterday was a great day. We went to this Irish pub that it was opened in 2013. And
But it's an historic building that was built like 115 years ago or something.
113.
Okay.
And I love how they took all 2013 pennies and lined the bar with all the 2013 pennies for the year that they opened. And just a lot of history in the building where they received the lighting from, came from some local churches and a museum from another one, and just really awesome. And one of my friends who's a news reporter here has done articles, and I've just never been in there. And so as we're walking, you and I, trying to figure out where we're going to go, I go, oh, Three Blind Mice. That's, where our friend writes all the time. So we go in, and
I got to have Scotch eggs. Yeah. For anyone not familiar with them, Scotch eggs, I'm not sure if they're an authentic Scottish delicacy, but they sure taste good enough to be Scottish. It's a hard-boiled egg wrapped in sausage and deep fried until the sausage is cooked. And then you put, they give them a spicy mayo and Dijon mustard, but, you can put a little bit of condiment on them, but they're so good.
And then I wasn't going to drink, but then I thought, well, you know what? It's the holidays
And I'm driving.
and you're driving, right? So I thought, I'm going to have a margarita. And I'm telling you, those margaritas were awesome. And they put them in these really cool glass, and it just wasn't the typical glass that you would put a margarita in, but right. I was so wasted. I decided to have two. I was so wasted.
Now the waitresses were all dressed like schoolgirls. Well, I mean, they kind of looked like schoolgirls because they were wearing an Irish style kilt.
Oh, and the white socks, like a schoolgirl would wear.
Yeah, so it was like an Irish-esque schoolgirl outfit. Yes, and Shara couldn't help sitting at our table, Shara couldn't help talking about how much she'd love to fuck a schoolgirl. And then one of the waitresses shot her a dirty look, and I'm like, fuck you should be flattered. What are you talking about?
I'm not sure that it was a dirty look as much as a, kind of one of those. I'm going to keep looking at you and see what you do with that. And, so I'm not sure which look it was, but I was a little afraid that it was the dirty look. And so, you got to be careful. So, but I so wanted to go over there.
You don't have to be that careful.
Yeah, I know. With you, you're like, just go ahead. I'm a little bit still more shy and reserved, and I know people don't believe that, but really I am.
Yeah, we're working on you. That's all right.
So anyway, it was a great day yesterday and a great morning this morning. And boy, I tell you, I just love those orgasms you give me.
Yeah, so we have a big announcement to make, which is really cool. We have talked a lot about our trip down to Desire's Resort and Spa down in Cancun, Mexico, with the Life on the Swing Set crew, which was a spectacular trip, which you all know because we can't stop talking about how great it was. However, now we can take you guys back with us because for next year's trip, we have had a block of rooms set aside for our audience.
Yay!
Yes, so there is now a page on sexualdarkage.com. If you look up in the header, there is a page for the Desire Trip 2015, which has all the details of the trip, including room rates. It is being booked through Shar Travel, and their contact info is on that page. And very soon, there will be a very snazzy commercial spot added to the show to talk about the Desire Trip. But it was phenomenal, you guys. I mean, seriously, if you can only take one vacation in 2015, you will be glad if it is this one.
And it would be so awesome to meet so many of our listeners. We try to get around town and try to, go to different states and meet people, and it's been difficult. This is just one big awesome party, and it would be great to meet a lot of our listeners. And if you're just like thinking, I just really want to get away, figure it out, because we did, and you can too. So if we can figure it out, anybody can. So take the time. And, I know people probably think, oh, they're business owners, they have a lot of money. And that's often just the opposite when you're a small business. So we found a way to do it. And I just hope that some of you will say, yeah, you know what? Babe, we deserve a vacation. Let's go. Let's just have some fun.
Because you do fucking deserve it. And it is, like, we knew we needed it, but we did not have an appropriate appreciation for how much we needed it until we were actually there.
Yeah, so.
And it's important to we will be there with the Life on the Swing Set crew. Mm-hmm. We have not discussed scheduling of events and stuff like that, but there will be some kinky events, kink-style events that we are hosting. There are all kinds of just miscellaneous events that the Swing Set folks host. Everybody will be welcome at all the events. So, no matter which group you're booked with, you will be welcome at all the events. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping to just take over most of the resort. And it's also important to say that while we will be there with a whole bunch of swingers, you will not be made to feel out of place if you are not swinging.
We promise you that. I mean, I was not sure how I was going to feel and felt so welcomed and enjoyed myself so much. And I just hope that we can get some of our people to show up and really enjoy themselves. And we'll make sure that we're there to meet you if you decide to go, that we'll greet you when you arrive. There. And you let us know when you're coming, what time you're arriving, and we will be there to meet you at the door to make you feel comfortable, I promise.
Yes, and if it is like it was this year, which it probably will be, you will walk through the door on the first day to a big fucking party.
It's great. It's really, I mean, I know that I even get teased a little bit about how much I love Desire. We love Desire, but I can never put into words just how wonderful I feel thinking about the trip, let alone being on the trip. The trip was just once in a lifetime type situation that I hope is even better the second time around. So anyway, hoping to see a lot of our listeners there. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask, because I had a lot of questions before I went, and the people that are Life on the Swing set, they answered all my questions, so feel free to ask questions.
Here, we are accessible, and there are special prices. That some of the pricing goes up in May, so you're better off to book. And also very important, I did not realize this when we made the first phone call, you book your room with a one-night deposit, so you do not have to pay for the whole vacation in advance. You book it with a one-night deposit, and then I think June 1st and August 1st are when the other payments are due for the trip. So,
okay.
Yes. So awesome. We hope to see you guys there. We met a bunch of people from our audience when we were there.
Yes.
This last time, which was really great because our audience and the swing set audience have a lot of overlap.
They do.
I'm sure not just, not in no small part because we trade guest appearances.
Right. And don't feel that you have to swing with other people. You can just do your own thing. You can party. You can not have sex with anybody else but your partner, and you don't have to feel threatened because no one tries to push you into anything unless you want to do something. So it's just an awesome group of people and an awesome time. So hope to see you there.
Yeah, so now finally to the business of the episode.
Oh.
So this episode is going to be a little bit of an experiment for us. We have said many times that we wish there was some place that we could go that had like the news stories of the week or the last couple of weeks, but filtered for sex news stories and actually the interesting stuff, because if you just try to Google it, honestly, you get a lot of crap in there. You get everything with the word sex. So we have decided that we are going to try becoming that place. So this is a sex news episode covering sex news topics from the last few weeks. This is kind of an experiment right now. We're looking for some feedback from the audience, and we're trying to figure out how we want to do this. It would not be out of the question if it's received very well for this to break off into a spin-off podcast. But for now, it's just going to be that some of the episodes of Ending the Sexual Dark Age are going to be sex news episodes. So we welcome feedback. And also, going forward, if you're out there in the audience and you see an interesting sex-related news item, please feel free to email it to jvaltheros@gmail.com, jvshara@gmail.com, post it to us on our Facebook page, or post it to either one of our attentions on Twitter. So we always appreciate audience assistance, and this is one of those things where sometimes the most interesting news stories are the ones that don't get covered by anyone else.
Right.
So first off, we're going to take a few minutes to talk about the California condom battle. Now, as some of you may or may not know, in California, there was recently an ordinance enacted requiring, well, actually it's not statewide, but there's recently an ordinance enacted in the place where almost all the porn is made in California, requiring porn actors to wear condoms. Now, the porn industry has come out very strongly against it. Very recently, there was a challenge to the law saying that forcing actors to wear condoms during shoots violates the First Amendment. Now that's rather crafty and clever, but I don't know if your dick has First Amendment rights.
Well, I feel very strongly that they should be worn, but that's because I'm a safety girl and I believe in safety.
Right. Well, and in order to do the topic justice, there are a lot of aspects to this.
I know.
So, having government forcing restrictions on any industry is something that should be carefully measured. In this case, there really are good arguments on both sides. There is data to indicate that people enjoy porn less when there are condoms involved, or certain people enjoy porn less when there are condoms involved. That said, I watch a lot of porn. You watch a lot of porn.
I probably watch more than you.
Yeah, but I have yet to start watching some porn and say, oh, well, they're wearing rubbers, I'm not going to watch this one. It's not, it has never been for me something that turns me away from the porn. And also, they never show the actors. The act of putting on the condom is always cut out anyway.
Right. And I will say, I do look to see whether they're wearing a condom or not. My concern, one of my major concerns, is how easy it is for kids to watch porn these days because it's so accessible. And then them thinking, oh, I don't need to wear a condom because they're not wearing a condom. And I have a high concern for that.
Right. And it might sound weird to talk about social responsibility in the porn industry, but now that their product is completely accessible to anyone with a computer or a smartphone, it is because so many parents are afraid to talk to their kids about sex, watching porn is the introduction that a whole lot of young people get to sex.
Right.
And, it causes we've talked before, and there will continue to be a good conversation possible about, body image issues that it can create, cock size concerns, all those things are things we've touched on at various points in other episodes of the show. But I think there really is a social responsibility issue. And also we have the fact that, yes, there are it is, I believe, an individual's choice what they do with their bodies. Mm-hmm. So I believe in the argument that if an actor chooses that they want to do porn without wearing condoms, certainly on a level fundamentally it is their choice. However, we also have to acknowledge that not all producers of pornography are ethical.
Really?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
And that's where I have a major concern of those people actually making the female porn star or one of the gay guys and a gay, kind of feeling ashamed that they want the person that's going to be fucking them to wear a condom and to feel ashamed for wanting that, And by the way, I hope none of them do. If you really want to make sure that the person that's going to be fucking you in the porn movie, feel free to say, you know what, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it unless somebody's wearing a condom, Well,
right. And then, but, then you're not working.
Right.
And if it's how you make your living. So it's, there is a huge opportunity for abuse, and, the indignities suffered by adult performers are pretty well documented. You have to actually go out looking for them, but, there are a lot of adult performers who have come out and talked about, some of the unethical things that have happened to them while working in the industry. So
right.
While I do understand and respect that there are ethical production companies who are opposed to this, who do make efforts to make sure that even if their actors are not using condoms, that they are safe and they are playing with a pool of people who are tested regularly. No matter how often you're tested, there are diseases that are communicable before you test positive for them, and there always will be. And at the same time, you are also speaking up on behalf of unethical producers.
Right. So what you're saying, though, is, okay, they're going to be tested regularly. It's not just the producer that gets to see that. If, let's say you and I are in a porn movie and we didn't know each other, I'd be able to see your records before you fucked me.
I will not speak to that. I mean, maybe we could get a porn actor on the show. But I am guessing that, like so many other things in the sex industry, at least when I worked in it, you just have to take it on faith that the boss is making sure that all the paperwork is straight.
Yeah, we saw how well that worked for some people.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, no. I would be one of those people that would say,
sometimes you find out you're working with a stripper who's 17 and was using a hilariously bad fake ID, but the boss put his dick in the cash register.
Right.
know.
So, yeah.
Not that I know anything about these things.
So anyway, I definitely would.
But so as of now, the challenge to the law requiring porn actors to wear rubbers has been struck down. Mm-hmm. So the law will stand unless someone comes up with an even more creative way to oppose it.
And I'm glad that the rule stands, to be honest, because I think that there's too many porn stars out there that are afraid to speak up for themselves. So, and they're kind of in the industry because they either need to make the money, want to make the money, whatever, but I still feel that they should feel safe. So I personally am glad that the ruling stands. I feel that they need somebody to protect them.
So next up, we have a new study by the State University of New York that demonstrates that semen is good for women's health and helps fight depression.
Yay!
This kind of news can't come along often enough. Now, we have talked about this in the past. This is not the first time science has addressed this issue, but this is a recent study, and it is definitely newsworthy. And it is also worth noting that in order to find a decent article on this, we had to go to a British paper, the Daily Mail, because the American press, has so much trouble covering anything that is sex positive. But basically, the research compared the sex lives of 293 women and compared it to their mental health. And it shows that, it follows research that shows that seminal fluid contains chemicals that elevate mood, increase affection, induce sleep, and also contain at least 3 antidepressants. So I'm not saying you can put down the Prozac if you're smoking pole 3 or 4 times a week. But maybe your dosage would need to be adjusted if you are currently using antidepressants. And it's not just blowjobs. I mean, the semen contains dopamine, it contains oxytocin, it contains a lot of the same chemicals and hormones that make your brain feel good during sex, that are responsible for the good feeling during sex. And those who receive that via semen, which I believe is valid in any hole, but I know it's at least valid for the pussy in the mouth.
Right. Because it says right there, the researchers also claim that women who have regular, unprotected sex are less depressed and perform better on cognitive tests, which, by the way, there goes the whole theory for the porn stars. They should have unprotected sex. Just kidding.
But so that's really kind of a key element. Better on cognitive tests.
Yeah.
Jizz makes you smarter.
I ought to be like way up there. I ought to be way up there thanks to you, Master.
So I was continuing Einstein's work coming next week.
Let's test me. Let's start off and see how I do. Give me some of your semen every single day, babe.
You got it, baby. We already tried for that anyway, but I mean, I'll try to be more diligent. Sometimes I might have to hold you down, but you'll like that too.
Oh, I sure would. Okay, so.
But yeah, so this is a very interesting article, and we didn't mention, this is a little slapdash because it is our first time doing this, and it is an experiment. We will be, the show notes for every sex news show will contain links to all the articles that we're talking about. So we encourage people, if they're interested in something, go to the show notes and follow the links, and you'll be able to read the same source material that we were using.
So men, if your partner out there is not getting enough of your semen, show them this article. It will be helpful for both sides.
Yes. Yes. Well, and it just follows that what is conventional wisdom, and has been shown in most of the other studies that have approached the topic. More sex makes you a happier person.
I know I'm happy.
And usually that is related back to the hormones that are produced in your own brain by the sex.
From now on, when you get crabby at work, I'm going to pull you off to the side and say, come here, and we're going to have sex. And then you'll walk away happy.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I got no problem with that.
I didn't think you would.
Sometimes I'm a little tight on time, but, we can throw in a quickie.
Tight. It's my magic word.
Your pussy is really tight.
I know.
And on a very closely related note, I fucking love science, which is one of my favorite science sites.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's iflscience.com. Released a video a few weeks ago on the effect of orgasms on the brain. And it's really a fascinating video, and I'm not going to try and regurgitate it. It's 2 minutes and 44 seconds long, and they pack a lot of information in a very approachable format into 2 minutes and 44 seconds. But what some of the highlights are MRI scans of the brains of people having orgasms, which has to be a fun experiment to conduct. I mean, you got somebody going down on somebody while they're in an MRI machine. I'm down for that, pun intended.
I'm just going to say that they would be very busy with me all day long.
Well, yeah, but you're easy. I could just rub your feet while you're in the MRI machine.
I know. I'm saying I'm easy. But then on to the next one.
So
and
shout out volunteers for orgasm studies, because it is so easy to get her off.
That's right. Let me be a test subject.
But yeah, so one of the interesting factors, though, is that in MRI scans, the effects of orgasms on the female brain and the male brain are virtually identical.
Right.
They have somewhat different net effects. The orgasms and the chemicals that are produced during orgasms shut down certain parts of the brain. Mm-hmm. For example, the part of the brain that is responsible for self-consciousness. So you really do let go during an orgasm. The part of your brain that is responsible for you being self-conscious is shut the fuck down.
I know.
Which is good for everybody.
It's great for me.
Because we are way too self-conscious. But yes, it is a fantastic video, and there is a link to it in the show notes. We highly recommend that it is worth your 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
And I think we should be test subject as partners and let them test us while we're having orgasms at the same time, see how well we do.
That's fine.
I know it's fine. Let's do it. I can't believe I just said that.
I can't believe it. I can't believe you can't believe it.
Desire. See what Desire's done to me?
Wettest pussy I've ever seen.
Well, thank you.
Seriously, I walk in this woman's office in the middle of the day. She's like, my pussy is so wet right now. You've been doing accounting, for fuck's sake.
Maybe it's just something creeps into my head while I'm doing accounting. And
no, it'll be like, well, I was just posting a big check.
Okay, money makes me happy too. What human being isn't happy when they're taking in a big bank deposit?
But it's not sexual for everyone.
Oh,
So next we're going to talk about birth control. The Proceedings of the National Academy of Science recently published an article about a study following 118 couples who met while the woman was on hormonal birth control. And they found that after they went off the pill, it could impact how attracted she was to her partner. Now, it is worth saying that, this is, the titles of all these articles are going off the pill, but there are various kinds of hormonal birth control.
Right.
Like, for example, I believe the NuvaRing counts as hormonal birth control, as does Norplant. So all of these different types of birth control could potentially have this effect. And this wasn't a huge study, but they seem pretty confident in their results. Basically, it shows that whether a woman's attraction to her mate was changed after going off the pill was directly related to how objectively good looking he was. So that's kind of the same way as saying that less classically attractive guys have a better shot with women who are on hormonal birth control.
Well, let's get everybody on birth control then. I would truthfully like more of a study on that because...
Well, so would I. I mean, it is kind of a bummer, too. I mean, women take the pill, for various reasons. It's not always just birth control. I mean, sometimes it's just to regulate hormones, which is part of the large debate about insurance being required to cover it. But that particular debate is not something we're going to go into right at the moment. But it's basically they're showing that women who, to quote the article or quote the study, women who choose a partner when they're on hormonal contraceptives and then stop taking them will prioritize their husband's attractiveness more than they would if they were still on it. So the hormonal birth control, and it's kind of weird if you think about it evolutionarily, because essentially being on the pill, well, maybe it's not weird. So being on the pill makes women more likely to be accepting of mates who are less attractive.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, they do not have a chance of procreating because, I believe the general effect is either eggs are not released or implantation of the eggs, if they are fertilized, is not possible. I believe those are the two methods of action of hormonal birth control. So you're more likely to fuck people that you wouldn't fuck if you were able to get pregnant. Which is a bummer for a whole lot of people.
I just would like to see a better study on that because when I went off the birth control, I don't know, sometimes I think I'm even more attracted to you than less. I know I'm not less attracted to you. But I really...
Well, you were on hormonal birth control for a long time before we met, though, weren't you?
Right. But my point is that when I went off of it, it didn't change for the worse. If anything, it got better. So
yeah, in your case, yeah.
In my case,
you were hornier.
I know. So
if that's even possible.
I know, right? I know, really. When you think about it, yeah, that's true. So I would like more of a study because I think there's more of me out there than people know.
Well, and there's also a larger conversation to be had now that some more viable male birth control options are becoming available.
Mm-hmm.
There's a larger conversation to be had about female birth control in the first place.
Right. I agree.
It has always been kind of conventionally accepted that women, as the baby havers, are ultimately the ones who are responsible for controlling whether or not they get a bun in their oven.
Right.
But that is ultimately a very sexist point of view, because it does result in a lot of women who do take a hormone moderating compound in one form or another simply for the prevention of pregnancy. When we are starting to have, obviously condoms are not hormonal. Condoms are not 100% effective either. I mean,
right.
The pill taken on schedule and properly is generally more effective than condoms are. However, it's also worth saying that most of the issues that happen with condoms are the result of improper use, improper fit. So when condoms are used properly, they are virtually 100% effective when used properly.
Right.
But condoms kind of suck. Let's admit it. We use them because we need to in order to be safe and responsible. But condoms are not fun. Although we are trying some, when we're playing with other people, we are trying some of the new thin, the condom people are always trying to make them feel better because that's good for business.
Right.
But at the same time, there are some options for male birth control that are starting to look viable, and some of them are non-hormonal. I mean, whenever you throw your entire body chemistry out of whack for one specific goal, you're going to have side effects, and some of those side effects are going to be problematic. And with the pill, it has been shown that there's an increased risk of things like breast cancer, and that's a very, very serious concern. And I mean, not just for health reasons, but because we all love titties. So I mean, if the pill is bad for titties, we have to have a serious conversation as a society about that. There's an Indian doctor who has found 100% success so far with a very simple procedure that basically coats the inside of the tube, the vas deferens, the tube that the sperm goes through on its way out of the cock. It coats the inside of it with a little polymer compound that basically makes the sperm stop swimming. And there is no net effect on health. It has been 100% reversible. All they have to do is give you a second injection. If you want to start, if you want to have active sperm that will cause you to have kids again. So it's possibly the holy grail of male birth control. I think we need to take the burden off of women.
Yay.
And I would much rather see, women only taking hormone altering substances when there is a reason for it.
Such as, making your husband look good.
like making your husband more attractive. It's a long list of reasons that women take the birth control pill that are not sexually related. And a very dear friend of mine has endometriosis, and she has been with a woman for the last 17 years, and she takes birth control because it's what controls her endometriosis.
Right, and it does. It really does make a difference.
So, I mean, her chance of getting pregnant has been 0 for a very long time, but she still needs the medication.
Yeah.
And that's one of the issues with these oppositions to paying for birth control that are frankly ridiculous. But we won't get into sexual politics on this episode.
Well, and let's remember, this was, not picking on a grad student, but it's a grad student, and in one of the paragraphs there, it says, going off the pill might make you more excited about him, maybe. So, I think there's a lot more to be studied there. I think it has a lot to do with the person's body and how they are reacting to things in life in general, their body functions, and all of that.
Well, that's true. And there's also some older research, actually. I found a paper that goes back to 2008 that shows that, I got to go a little science nerd on you guys for a minute. There's a lot of research that indicates that there are pheromone markers that we are able to pick up that indicate who is a good genetic mate for us. Okay, so the sense that other people give off, the scent of their bodies, and how they give off scents through breath and and the oils we excrete through our skin and whatever. We are able to pick those up. Our noses can pick those things up, even though we're not consciously registering them. And it has been shown that a part of what creates the natural attraction we feel is whether or not our pheromones indicate that we would produce healthy babies together. So there is some research going back to like 2008 that indicates that the pill affects the way a woman's body processes those pheromone markers. Right? So there are more ways in which the pill just kind of messes with attraction. It's not just what's addressed in this article. And I will throw up a link to that other article in the show notes.
Good idea.
Just for comparison.
Good idea.
But so we're gonna. I'm trying to move us towards being responsible journalists instead of just people who talk about fucking all the time. So
us talk about fucking all the time, really?
So next up, same-sex marriage takes a step forward in Florida. The Supreme Court declines to block same-sex marriages.
Yay.
Yeah, so that is one more state where love is allowed to prevail and people are allowed to marry based on the people they want to spend the rest of their lives with. So hopefully that will be coming to every state sometime soon. But we are, I think we've seen the tide turning on this. The federal courts are over and over again refusing to uphold these state laws that discriminate against people based on their sexual orientation, which is bullshit in any way that it might happen. But this happens to be a particularly visible way that really does affect the lives of tens of millions of Americans and their families. So thank you to the Supreme Court for once making a good decision and deciding not to uphold these bans. And it's I believe the numbers are like 60% of the American people in general, and in polls, which are worth what they're worth, but polling numbers are indicating that more than half of the American people support same-sex marriage. So I think that's a big part of the reason that these federal judges are kind of all marching to the same tune.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that are affected because even if they're not gay, they have a family member that is, or a good friend that is. So, it's become a part of life where you either have to accept them for what their desires are, or you have to exclude them from your life. And that's very difficult as a parent.
And unfortunately, we have seen, and you don't have to look very far, I should say, to find a story of, someone who comes out as gay or bisexual or, transgender or anything that is not considered mainstream heteronormative and is disowned by their family.
Right.
And hopefully this social change is taking us in the direction of making that unacceptable, because I think if people were ostracized by their peers for disowning their children, I think that's how we get some fundamental social change.
I have a friend that I've worked with, and he's very Christian oriented, and his son had a sex change operation, and it was very difficult for him to accept it, but I told him, I said, do you love your son? And he said yes. And I said, well, it's difficult for him to be in this body, and try to accept him for who he is, because he's still your child, whether he becomes a female or whatever. He's still the child that you had, and he is accepting of it, and he's doing much better with, I should say, doing better with accepting it, because his beliefs were what taught him it's unacceptable, and he's working on changing that. And to me, that is a huge success for people in general, because this person, who you also know, has he's way out there in the Christian beliefs. And so for him to be accepting of his son becoming a female is a big step for him.
And I support anyone who, even if especially if it's difficult for them, who takes the time to make the effort to prioritize, love over the imposition of your own morals and your own judgments of what is right and wrong onto those who are around you.
Right. I think the hardest thing for us is not to judge people. Many of us do it. Very few of us are tempted to judge situations or people, and it's a difficult thing not to do. It's for a lot of people. Just like even swingers coming out of the closet and saying, I'm a swinger, to the whole family. Oh, really? Or I'm poly. Oh, really? You don't get accepted so easily because it's not the norm.
Yeah, it can be very difficult. Anytime you come out to society or even family and friends about the fact that you practice some kind of non-standard form of love or intimacy, you run the risk of being ostracized. Because so many people are closed-minded, and so many people are so accepting of closed-mindedness.
Exactly.
So hopefully, we are at over 30 states with marriage equality now.
Yes,
and
so that's
I really
awesome.
hope it's going to be 50 by the end of the year. And it may take till the end of next year, but I don't think this train is going to stop.
I don't think so either. I think it's, when you have 30 that are already accepting, I think it's, eventually you're going to look like the asshole who's not accepting of it, So I think it's on its way. I really do.
Yeah, well, and it has been often said, and I believe it's absolutely true, that one day the people who were against gay marriage they're on the wrong side of history, and they just don't realize it yet. Yeah. They're the same people who in their day, or had they been born in a different time, would have been against women voting. They would have been in favor of segregation. They would have been in favor of slavery. This is all the same mindset, to keep other people, to minimize the rights of others.
Right.
And history does not look favorably upon that. So, that's our last serious topic of the day. So, the last item we're going to cover is about a woman who caught her husband cheating with her twin sister. And I'm not sure exactly where this was. Does the article say? Let's see. No, it does not. But basically, after finding out her husband was fucking her twin sister, 29-year-old Ting-Soo decided to get even with them by leaving them stranded naked in public. She used a phone tracking device to track her sister down. So that family finder shit, yeah, you better watch out for that stuff if you're fucking around. So she located them by following her mobile phone, and then she found her husband and her sister fucking in the back of a car. So once they were caught, they jumped out of the car, buck naked, which in itself is a questionable decision.
I know.
But instead of getting angry, she just jumped in the car and drove away, which is a total pimp move. I mean, hats off to Ting Sue. You, my dear, are a pimp, because that is exactly probably the best revenge, making them walk home buck naked, and talk about teaching them a lesson. So. Yeah, I have very little sympathy for cheaters, and this is just a great example of a creative way that a couple of them were taken care of.
Yes, he wasn't happy. He was banging on the window. It was so funny.
Yes, and the article includes several unfortunately pixelated photos, but they include this dude trying to get in the car with the doors locked while his wife's driving away. Oh, it's pretty good. So, I try not to laugh at other people's misfortune, but sometimes they really do bring it on themselves.
I mean, come on, getting out of the car without putting your clothes on first, you kind of had it coming.
Yeah, well, I understand your surprise, but that certainly would not be. I mean, if I'm fucking in a car and anyone catches me, I mean, granted, if I'm doing it, I'm not cheating on anyone, but if we're fucking in a car and somebody catches us, the first instinct is not to jump right out.
And good luck, if they're, like she's filed for divorce and don't think you're going to get the children because, you might have a difficult time because this sucker is spread everywhere all over the internet. So. Too funny.
Yeah, to have your humiliation go viral is just a special kind of torment.
Yeah. Go ahead. Try and walk out of that home or apartment or,
But yeah, so that concludes this first episode of Sex News with JV and Shara. So I hope it has been as entertaining for you as it has been for us. And we look forward to your feedback. Please feel free to post on our Facebook page, search Facebook for Ending the Sexual Dark Age, or tweet to either at JVAltheros or at JVShara on Twitter, or jvaltheros@gmail.com. And what is your Gmail address? jvshara@gmail.com. Don't laugh at me.
I'm laughing because you say it every week.
Well, I know, but we got so many of these.
I know.
Social media sucks sometimes. So here's how to get a hold of me in 42 different places. And we really need to find a solution for that. Actually, we need to create a contact page on the website.
That's a great idea. Yep.
With all of our contact stuff.
Yes.
So that's something that will come soon.
Okay.
But please remember that we are inviting you to join us in fucking paradise at Desire Resort and Spa next November. Get a hold of Shar Travel to get details about rates and reservations. They are great people. They did a fantastic job. They've done a fantastic job apparently every year. We've only experienced it once, but they've done a fantastic job for the swing set folks every year, and we will be down at the resort at the same time. So we can genuinely assure you that there will be a whole bunch of awesome people there, and it will be a great time. It
was a great time this year, and I know it's going to be a great time next year. I have no doubt.
Yeah, so let us know if you have any opinions on the sex news format. Please feel free to send us any news tips, because we're thinking we're going to do one of these shows every couple of weeks and kind of mix it in with our advice shows or the interviews we're going to be doing. So we're going to see how this succeeds and kind of let it grow organically like we did with the original show.
Right.
But thank you very much for listening and for giving a shit what we think about a variety of topics. We certainly have fun talking to you about them.
We do.
And until next time, this be us, JV and Shara, reminding you that sex is one of the greatest things in life, and there is always room for better.
Always.